Good morning, friends and fellow traders. This is Doug Campbell with Right Way Options, and this is the Morning Market Prep video for February 27th, 2024. Well, as we wind down this crazy month here in the market, we have a few things of interest in the economic calendar that could really create some volatility over the next several days. But let's take a look at what happened overnight. First off, we have Asian markets were mostly higher last night, but rather modest. Korea was down just a little bit, but everything else was rather modest gains overnight in those Asian markets. European markets are kind of fluctuating here this morning between some bullishness and some bearishness. We've got a little bit of maybe just a hesitation ahead of all of the data that we have coming out here in the US. The DAX is looking good this morning, but the FTSE and CAC are slightly lower. Here in the US, we're all green across the board at this moment in the pre-market futures, and that's at about 5:30 a.m. this morning, but very modest in the gains here this morning as we head toward the data this morning. Taking a look at oil prices, oil had a good surge up yesterday, and this morning we're seeing that pull back just modestly here this morning, down 34 cents, 37 cents on Brent, and natural gas also lower. If we were to take a look at our bond yields this morning, bond yields have eased off just a little bit. We were up at 4.72 yesterday in bond, the 2-year bond. It has turned around and gone back down just a little bit at 4.69%, and our 10-year bond at 4.27%. Also just slightly lower from yesterday. But one thing that we're starting to see is we're increasing the gap in this yield curve. Not a good situation here for the Fed, so we'll want to watch that carefully. And it's interesting how well the market has been able to just ignore what's going on in these rates and just continue to dive into the market. So what does all that mean for today? Well, how about we settle in? Let's buckle up. Let's get ready for the Tuesday edition of the Morning Market Prep video. Good morning once again, everyone, and thank you so much for being here. I very much appreciate it. I apologize there was no video yesterday. As you guys know, I had post-op appointment, and well, here I'll just show you a picture. You can see the new fancy hardware in my foot. Holding things together, and now all I'm really doing is waiting for those bones to fuse together so that I can get back to walking. It's going to be at least another 3 weeks before I can even put any pressure on my foot. So to say things are a little bit more challenging right now is an understatement, but getting everything done. And thanks everyone for sticking with me through this process. I do truly appreciate it. Let's take a look at these charts and see if we can gain some information about how we might want to approach the market for today. And let's try to shake off a little bit of a bias, and let's just look at that price action here in the chart. Well, first off, if we take a look what we've got going here in the diamonds, certainly we have an upside trend. This was a higher low, and we broke this resistance to the upside. So the trend remains to the upside, and all we're seeing right now is just this little resting consolidation here in the market. And it's possible that that resting consolidation can move all the way back out here into this move, but I doubt it's going to be smooth and steady with the data that we have coming this week. If we take a look, if the bulls find inspiration today, well, then we're going to look and see if we can pop through these highs over here and get an all-time high close here in the market. An all-time high breakout would be, of course, up in here. And right now, there's every reason to believe that could certainly be possible. If we were to take a look and see what would happen if the bears were to get going, well, you're going to notice that there really isn't any support in here until we come down to here. And unfortunately, that's a fairly big point move in the market. So watch carefully. If the bears really start kicking up, they could push this down pretty quickly down into this area of the chart to try and find that support. Now, if we were to slip beyond that point, that's where things get maybe just a little bit tense for the bulls, because we would be pushing down into this trend, dropping back down into this range bound area of the chart. And slipping below there, of course, we come down in here. We're talking about some big point moves here in the Dow if that were to occur. So just watch that carefully if those bears were to engage, because I do think the possibility, if the bears engage, we see a big move in points possible. Let's take a look at our SPY. SPY also remaining very, very bullish. Continuing to hang in here, looking good. Obviously, the last couple of days, maybe just a little bit of a concern starting to show up, or a little caution heading into these big data numbers. I would look for that possibility if we continue to see bearish activity in here to push us down toward this area of the chart and this trend. So watch carefully for that. Could be reasonably big point moves on that. Dropping below there is where things start to get a little bit worrisome, breaking that trend, and we'd be looking for some new areas of price support here in the chart, maybe even down as low as this, to find that next area of price support. So SPY, if the bulls were to find inspiration, then we start looking at these levels up here to see if we can get that all-time high close, or even that all-time high breakout if those bulls find inspiration in the data. If we take a look at our QQQ maybe the most conspicuous at the moment, and a little bit of a concern here overall. You can see we rallied up here, tried to break through. We made an all-time high print, but just couldn't hold on to it. Started that little bit of a pullback. We'll want to watch that carefully. Now, if your trend is in here, and it kind of has to be at the moment, then we've kind of slipped that trend here just a little bit, but there's nothing here showing major bearishness overall in the chart. So if those bulls were to continue to push, then we need to see us push on through, maybe break up into this area of the chart. And then every reason to believe they could do that with the data that we've got coming our way. So watch carefully there. Now, if the bears were to find inspiration, you can see we've got a little bit of support right through that area of the chart. So we need to see the QQQ, if it does push back, kind of hold the low of this candle, hang in there and hold the low of that candle, because if it doesn't, well, then we have a little bit of pressure and pain that could come in here, because there really isn't good support in here till maybe about that level, and we could drop pretty quickly, possibly even coming as low as filling this big gap that we left behind in the Qs. So watch carefully if those bears were to come in. Again, that possibility of some big moves here in the chart could be possible. Now, it's also possible we could find some support right in this area, one of these areas, or even consolidate over, and we find this area right in here, and we make this the new higher low in the market, someplace in there. So certainly a possibility there as well. If we look at our Russell IWM squeezed its way up there, broke through this resistance yesterday, but wasn't quite able to hold very strongly here. IWM is trying to continue to push on higher, but albeit on very weak volume. And we do have this situation in here. If I were to draw a line at across here, we got a bit of a price wedge happening here in this chart. And we're not really getting a lot of energy here in the Russell, which shouldn't be that big of a surprise without any of the techs in here, those major techs in the Russell. So watch that closely here. A failure at a point up here, because we've had this little struggle right in this area of the chart. If another failure up here could send us back down pretty sharply. So if the bulls find inspiration, we need to see that breakthrough up into here, and probably we really need to see a break of that resistance in the chart, pushing us up through there, giving us a little bit more confidence. If the bears were to find inspiration, of course, slipping this and breaking that trend could bring us down and continue along this little downtrending area here in the chart. So watch carefully for that. Let's take a look at our VIX. Our VIX yesterday showed us really no fear. We popped up a little bit there, but we're just kind of bouncing around in this area, kind of holding above that, well, holding between the 13 and 14 handles here on the VIX. No major fear situation yet, but we know we've got some big data coming at us. So I think what we're seeing most of all right now is just cautiousness in the market. If we take a look at our T21-22, the 4-week new high, new low ratio, you can see the majority of stocks were selling off yesterday, pulling back, although we did have bullish stocks out there. The bigger part of the market was selling off. Remember, this is just stocks making 4-week new highs, 4-week new lows, and showing us this ratio, so we can see that there was a little bit more bearishness in the market yesterday than there was bullishness. Now what that means is if the bulls can grab a hold of this, we certainly have plenty of upside opportunity if we can find some inspiration in that data to push us higher. Every reason to believe we could push up through there. If the bears were to find inspiration, well, of course, we have every reason to believe that it could push down. And I think the downside moves could be substantial point moves here. So just be prepared for that possibility. If we take a look at our T2108, well, our T2108 was flat to lower yesterday, a little tiny decline. This is the percentage of stocks above the 40-day. We still have not been able to get up here and hold above 50%, and we're just seeing that caution, I think, in the market heading into these data points, just that little bit of softness. But overall, we continue to be a bit on the range bound side of things. We've got resistance up here in the chart, we've got support down here in the chart, and we're just stuck in this range for the moment as we wait for the data. Just remembering, there is that possibility of a substantial downside move if those bears find some information in these data points that's bad. So watch carefully for that if we were to move lower. Coming up, you can see we've got resistance here in the chart to be worried about. The downside gives us a lot more potential move in T2108. Our T2107 kind of stuck. As you can see, we've been stuck in this range between this high and this low. The good news here on T2107, we're holding above this 50% area here in the chart, but you can see yesterday more stocks were declining. This is a percentage of stocks above the 200-day, seeing a little bit of pressure in there. So every reason to believe that we could challenge this up here with some good data. Challenge it here if we have some bad data. So just watch that carefully on T2107. And then I think market breadth is telling us the real story here. We've had a substantial decline in the market breadth. We're getting very, very weak on this breadth reading here. We've been going up and up and up on weakening breadth, and that is a problem for us, I think. Of course, there's all this uncertainty about the data that we have coming forward, but watch that carefully here. If this were to pop and snap and those bears really start coming in on an attack, we could see that breadth increase. And that's the thing you don't want to see if you're a bull. You don't want to see the breadth going up on a bearish wave. So we need to see something in that data that really inspires the bulls that everything is great and we're ready to power on higher here in the market. Because what I don't like seeing us doing is continuing to stretch up to the upside and seeing the market breadth declining. It's giving us that hint or clue that something could break here in the market, and if it does, it could break quickly. So just have that in the back of your mind and be prepared in case that were to occur. Let's take a look at our economic calendar here for today. Now, our economic calendar, we've got a few reports that we'll want to be paying attention to. We've got durable goods orders, and those durable goods orders are expected to come in by consensus at a negative 4.5 from a 0.0 last time. That's a pretty substantial reversal here on durable goods orders. The big question will be whether that misses, because we've seen a lot of those retail numbers really starting to miss. So watch that carefully here. This could be that bullish or bearish catalyst in the market. If this beats this number, the market's going to celebrate. If it misses this number, we could really see the bears engage here. And then X-Transportation looking for a 0.2, which is a decline, and core capital goods a 0.1, which is a decline as well. So keep a close eye on that number. Case-Shiller home price index, they're looking for that home price index to increase. Now, that's not a good thing for the Fed. We're trying to beat this inflation back to the downside, and we don't want to see those prices going higher here. So keep an eye on that. They are suggesting that possibility on the month over month that we could see house prices moving up. And then if we take a look, we've got house price index in here. We've got BAR going to be speaking. We've got consumer confidence coming out. They're expecting that to be an improvement of 115 from 114.8. And we've been seeing that consumer confidence number continuing to creep higher. So watch that closely. If that were to slip, that could also bring in those bears. So fingers crossed that stays bullish in there. And then if we take a look, we've got a 7-year note auction in here, money supply after that at the end of the day. But what everyone's going to be thinking about really quickly, and you could probably expect to see the market turn kind of choppy this afternoon. We might get a little bit of volatility around these reports this morning and then get relatively choppy as we wait for that GDP number expected Thursday morning. So watch carefully for that. Let's take a look at our earnings calendar for today. And our earnings calendar is a pretty busy earnings calendar, and there's no way I can cover that all. So what I'm going to do is I've got this little blog starter. There will not be a blog today. Everything takes me longer when I'm trying to move around on one foot. So there will not be a blog today, but I did put in here the earnings, notable earnings for today. So you want to be keeping an eye on those. Quite a few earnings in here that could move us around a bit. And what we've been seeing is, except for tech, we've been seeing a considerable mix of things. Zoom Mobile, after the bell yesterday, really big push to the upside. Zoom Mobile had good earnings report, pushing us up here toward a very significant level of price resistance. Breaking through there and holding that as support could be a good sign for Zoom Mobile, so keep an eye on that. And then we had WDay. It went the other direction, and went the other direction pretty hard, pushing down into this price support. And you can see it's already trying to get some buyers here this morning to pick it back up just a bit. But pretty hard move yesterday, reversing from that high yesterday that was here heading into the earnings report. that has to be pretty disappointing if you're chasing that into earnings. So just be a little bit careful here on these earnings reports. A lot of things being pushed around here in the market. So keep an eye on some of these here this morning. We've got Space that will be reporting. We've got Urban Outfitters in there. Lemonade is going to be in there. We've got Sam Adams. Bumble is going to be in there today. We've got Allegiant Airlines that will be in there. American Tower is going to be reporting today. CVNA will be reporting today. So quite a few out there. We've even got Macy's and Lowe's reporting. So keep a close eye on all of these reports this morning. Could see some volatility around that, but I think mostly everyone's going to be really watching that durable goods numbers here today. Let's take a look at some stocks that could be setting up for today. But before we do that, guys, if you could do me this quick favor, if this is the first time you've seen these videos, if you could please click that subscribe button on YouTube and also click that bell icon when it pops up so you'll be notified every time I post a video. And if you find these videos to be useful or helpful, if you could do me that favor, and that would be click that thumbs up button, leave a brief comment. That helps the channel to continue to grow. Thank you so much for everyone who takes the time to do that. I should be on the case today to answer those comments. I apologize. Just with everything going on after the surgery, I just haven't been able to answer those as I should. Believe me, I truly appreciate that, and I will be back on task here on answering those questions. Let's take a look at some stocks setting up. And remember, guys, these are not recommendations to buy or sell any security. You need to do your own due diligence. Be very careful here in the market. I would be watching carefully for whipsaws. I'd be watching carefully for some big point moves on some of these data points coming up this week. So that means plan your trades very carefully, and I'd be really careful about over trading this market, because we could wake up one morning and see a big shift or a big change that comes in all of a sudden. Let's take a look at some of these stocks. Remember, never ever blindly follow anyone else's trade ideas here in the market. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at a little bit of retail here. Walmart doing really good. Popped up there nicely yesterday, and if you notice, a lot cheaper now. There was a 3-for-1 split here, and I love it when a company does this. You know, for some reason we've become stock market's become this culture. Let's just keep our prices as high as possible. Companies like Walmart still respecting the fact that, hey, if we split the stock, it makes the stock a whole lot more affordable to a larger group of people. So looking good here on Walmart right now, pushing through. These are all-time highs here in Walmart. Any rest or pullback toward this trend, I think, sets up that next opportunity to the upside. So watch carefully on Walmart. Costco is one of those that, no, we're not going to split. We're going to keep everything super expensive, and at $750 it does price a lot of people out of this game. But this is a very bullish chart, breaking this resistance here in the chart, pushing to the upside, showing lots and lots of strength. Any rest or pullback in there, once again, could set, and as long as it holds a trend, could continue to set up that next opportunity higher here in Costco. Target has been setting up here. Nice pop out of this little consolidation here in the chart. I'm going to take this trend now and move it out here, and you can see we're reaching that point where we can find those buyers in here to start pushing that on higher. So keep an eye on Target. Every reason to believe they could move up here, and we might be attacking some of this resistance up here in the chart. see if we can address that and push on through there on target. Let's take a look at a different sector. Let's take a look at some oil. If we take a look at XLE yesterday, XLE, we're continuing to hang in this upside trend in this support area of the chart. Well, let's call it support resistance area. We're trying to decide which is it going to be, support or resistance. We're trying to hang in here in that area. But as we move out to this trend, there's still so much uncertainty out here on those shipping issues and things due to the Red Sea issues and things going on, that we easily could slide out here toward the trend and find those buyers and start pushing things back up here in the chart. So I'd keep a close eye on some of these energy stocks. They may be coming around here. If we take a look at ExxonMobil, it's been resting in this consolidating pattern here for some time, sliding out here toward this trend. I think any moment here, this could find that inspiration to either break higher or lower here in the chart. So I'd keep an eye on ExxonMobil for that opportunity that could push on through. And there are quite a few others out there. If we look at PSX, Phillips 66, this thing has been incredibly bullish, continues to stay really, really strong here in the market. Now, we are trying to push up away from this trend here. I would watch for that possibility this could rest or pull back yet again, come back into this trend, and then look for that opportunity to the upside in Phillips 66. Looking pretty good overall. If we were to take a look in another area of the market, let's take a look at our financials. We've been seeing lots and lots of strength here in the market, and maybe a little too much strength. If you take a cue from Jamie Dimon sold a huge number of shares of JP Morgan, and he's been pretty good at that, timing the market, saying that, hey, JP Morgan should be coming down here soon, selling a big portion of his shares. So watch that carefully here. We've been extremely bullish in these financials, and Jamie Dimon is warning out there that he sees that possibility that the market is way too confident about this so-called soft landing, considering the numbers that we're seeing right now. So watch carefully here in the financials. But if we continue to hold this trend in here, every reason to believe we could push on higher in that chart. So watch that carefully here. If we do take a look at like JP Morgan also, even after that big sell from Jamie Dimon himself, that possibility that this could just rest out here sideways and continue on to the upside. And if we look at other pay systems, things like Visa showing really strong in here on that chart. I'm going to change my trend line in here, out here, and you can see very, very bullish moves in these charts. We're pushing through these resistance levels. Any rest, any consolidation, any pullback continues to set up an opportunity there in Visa. I'm going to say the same about MasterCard, just continuing to run to the upside, finding those areas of price support in the chart. Any rest or pullback would continue to set up those opportunities. So keep a close eye on that. So looking pretty good there. Now, if we take a look at some of the regionals, that's not the case. The regionals have a tremendous risk right now to all of this commercial real estate problem. So I'd be watching this closely. This actually gives me that look of a potential short setting up here. We've broken down through support in this. We're moving along this downtrend, and I'm just seeing that real concern maybe starting to show up here, and that possibility that we could start to see those regionals really roll over here to the downside. So watch that carefully in some of those regional banks. So there's a few things for you to look at today. Hey, I want to wish you all a fantastic day. Wish you great results in your trading. And once again, thanks so much for all the kind support and all the kind well wishes in the comments as I'm healing up here. You guys are truly awesome. I very much appreciate it. I want to wish you all a fantastic day, and I'll see you right back here bright and early Wednesday morning. Take care, everyone.